The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Greenfield Savings Bank, providing residential lending advice. Greenfield Savings Bank, member FDIC, DIF, equal housing lender, NMLS 409187.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, a look at the life of realist painter Gregory Gillespie through his work and the collected footage of friends and family, which has now been turned into a documentary called The Painted Life. We'll hear from filmmaker Evan Goodchild, as well as Britt Rue of Commonwealth Murals about the process of interweaving his portfolio and recorded experiences in this new film.
And we'll learn about new words that don't even have full meanings yet. Resident wordster Emily Brewster chats with us about skibbity and how it's still evolving in the American lexicographical landscape.
But first, we are incredibly lucky to have Live Music Wednesday bumped guests to make this happen.
I know.
Because singer-songwriter extraordinaire Antoine Stanley is here. Antoine Stanley grew up in Flint, Michigan, started singing at the age of 3 and has not stopped since, and we are so lucky that he has not.
I know. His album, I Can Do Anything, came out to high acclaim in 2005, and EP Ascension followed in 2021, teaming him up with Tyler Duncan. And in between, he's been vocalizing alongside Corey Wong and Wolfpack, opening for Common, and so many more people.
And we're going to talk about that in just a second. Tonight, Antoine Stanley will be bringing his current acoustic tour to the Drake in Amherst. He's playing alongside John Notar on the keyboard.
And we are about to have no chill.
No chill at all. Even our filmmaker friend who's watching in the other room when he was coming up the stairs as we were letting the guests in was like, wait a minute, who? So we're all fanning out about Antoine Stanley. Let's hear a song and then we'll chat.
I said, wait for the moment. Gone home, went to bed while the other kids were still outside. No, I don't feel time when I sleep, so I snuggle up with my sheets and wait for a brighter day. I'll play football tomorrow with only my best friends, people I like, but I don't love, are not allowed. I wonder if Sharon will see me, but I'll play cool, 'cause cool is what you gotta do. It's hard to make a point when you're living so low. Sometimes you just gotta turn it down. I gotta get my friends excited about not being invited. That's an opportunity. But down I smiled, listen down I smiled. It was so nice to get a call. Sharon, I'm good at stuff, and you're into stuff. Ooh, let's make products. Oh, I'm a product guy, and you're a produce girl. Money, 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 money will be spent. I'm out to the groove that turned you off. Come on, John, and talk to us a little bit. Oh, break it down. Give it up for John. Oh, yeah. Sit but down, I smiled. Listen up, I smiled. It was so nice to get a call. Sharon, I'm good at stuff, and you're into stuff. Let's just make products. Yeah, I'm a product kind of guy, and you're a produce kind of girl. Oh, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps.
Yeah, I don't want to play favorites, but I don't know if we've had a vocalist like that in the studio at this point as of yet.
Can't, like, yeah.
It's incredible. Plus the lyrics, I mean, they're so amazing. That is Antoine Stanley, who is playing at the Drake in Amherst tonight. Not to be missed.
Not to be missed.
And as Khalees mentioned before, you know, you've played with some real big heavy hitters that we're big fans of, like Corey Wong, like Wolfpack, like opening
But
up
every
for
time
Common.
you show up, you steal the show. Like, it just happens. Like, your vocal style is so good. You're so flexible and just, like, so versatile with your range. I'm going to stop.
Yeah. But this is an acoustic tour, is what it's being billed as, right? So tell us about what it's gonna be like tonight at the Drake in Amherst.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time tonight. We've had an amazing time the past. We've only done a couple shows. This tour is still just like kind of kicked into gear, and we started in D.C.
Nice.
And then we went to Burlington, and this, you know, like I said, it is the New England, like this New England region tour. And so these places, most of them, I've been before, but not doing this type of work. And so it's really cool to be able to go into some of these places and just kind of sing my heart out to people who may have heard my voice or people who may not be really familiar with who I am. And it's been an amazing time. It's too funny because when this tour came together, I was a little nervous to actually go on the road with just a keyboard player, you know. But when you've got the kind of guy like John Notar, I mean, there's really nothing you can't do with, you know. It's just like he's taken these arrangements, you know, and dwindled them down all the way down to just keys. And so here today we're rocking the keys and the Kemper, and
that's how it'll be tonight, just the two of you?
Well, it'll just be the two of us tonight. But these crowds have had a really amazing time. And these, like, you know, these rooms are, you know, these are smaller than maybe some of the venues that I've had the opportunity to play.
Like Madison Square Garden.
Well, yeah, right. But yeah. But you know what? Every time I take the stage is a new experience, and it's always fresh. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm so stoked to continue with this tour, and stoked about what we've done so far, because it's just like, man, every time I take the stage, it's a new experience. And yeah, and obviously this is definitely new for me, because most of the performances I've had have been with, you know, large bands and things of that sort. So it's different and unique, but I'm so, like, glad this is part of my story. And yeah, so we're gonna keep rocking. People have had, you know, a really good time. They've, you know, written me and online or just after the show, you know, come up to the table and just like, man, thanks for coming and doing this kind of a thing. And it's crazy because sometimes it's like a Saturday night, and you're, you know, audience, you know, some audiences may be expecting this large band, right? And now, granted, this is billed as an acoustic tour, so, you know, my hope is that people aren't, like, completely surprised. But I can guarantee you, though, if and when you come out, you know, you're not going to be thinking so much about who's not there. You're going to appreciate the moment and what is, and that's my job, is to help make it memorable.
I think these songs fill up, like, plenty of space.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like anything is missing. But, like, especially coming from being a part of, like, bigger ensembles, and you've only done two shows so far on this tour.
Right.
But has having your sound stripped down to, like, this bare bones, like, keys and voice changed anything about how you're thinking about songwriting?
Wow, that's a really good question. Wow, I haven't even I haven't even gotten to the songwriting part. I'm concentrated. Man, it's an amazing question. I think it could though. Like I haven't really attempted to do a ton of songwriting while on the tour, but I mean, obviously, every time I get up, there's always a melody, a new melody going through my head. Like, oh man, this is a cool idea. And, you get your phone out and you start, singing your heart out, right? And then some things see the light of day. Most of it doesn't, But you do. I know. I maybe not for the songwriting itself, but I know for the actual performance, the presentation of it, it does change because you have to think about space, time, a lot of gaps sometimes needing to be filled. Am I going to fill all those gaps, or is John going to work to fill all those gaps? It's a really interesting interplay, thinking about that stuff. And then, of course, with John, thinking about the actual arrangements, is he going to try to hit everything that maybe the horns are playing on some on the recorded tunes, or are we going to pull it back? And I think the inclination for us is just to really kind of pull it back, and on those tunes that are maybe like really high energy and up tempo, just kind of let loose and see what happens. But yeah, for me, it definitely gets me thinking about like, wow, how am I going to carry through this performance knowing that this instrument is not here, or how am I like, playing, with the crowd since there aren't many people on stage other than just the two of us, right? So yeah, it's a cool, and it's different every night. So yeah,
plenty compelling with the two of you.
Oh yeah,
it presents its own little challenge every show, because it's different from going on the stage versus rehearsing or practicing at home.
Always.
So it's just, yeah.
And we're speaking with Antoine Stanley, who will be at the Drake in an intimate performance.
Yes.
Acoustic with John Notar tonight in Amherst. Before we hear one more song,
yeah.
I mean, the lyrics of that last song, you listen to soul music, right? You have like an idea what like soul music is lyrically. It's got a long history. Your lyrics are always slightly bonkers in what I feel like are the most absolutely the best way. And John, this might be offensive to you. Can I touch your keyboard with it on for 2 seconds? Hold on. So I'm running in the
live
studio.
radio, everybody.
This is live. This is live.
Last night, I say, guess who's going to come to the studio today?
Which is the lick.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
It's a long story behind that, but I was I said to I just played that riff on the piano in my house, and my family was like, whoa!
Yo,
that was one of my first experiences with your music.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
And the lyrics to that are totally bonkers. Are those your lyrics? The song that I reference is called Funky Duck.
It's called Funky Duck,
It's a Wolfpack song.
So this is too funny because I think one of the, like my collaboration with Wolfpack, so it started in college, in the college days, and it's been amazing. It's been over a decade, and people still kind of gravitate toward these songs, and it's amazing. It's just like, wait, what? Something singing about a funky duck. Really? And we have so much fun. It's too funny. But so it's funny because one of the things about Wolfpack that is hilarious, but also very like cool and interesting is that you have maybe a vocalist like myself who comes in and based on my experience, I love soul music. This is what I grew up on. And I met Jack, who's the band leader of Wolfpack, and we met in college, and he was like, man, I'm a fan of your voice. And I got a chance to vibe with him and see, the kind of music that he loves and all of that. And we spent, a lot of good time together. And we wrote these tunes, or sometimes he would come to me and present, these lyrics that were just like, wait, what? And so here I am just kind of doing my thing. He's like, you just kind of play with it, however you want. And it just became a thing. And so that particular tune, there's really there's no meaning behind it.
But is the non-meaning from you, or is the non-meaning from him?
The non-meaning is from Jack. Now,
okay.
I can't say that it's like completely without meaning. We need to get him on the phone to talk about.
Okay, I just wanted to see if it came from the strange mind of Antoine Stanley or somebody else involved.
Yeah, my mind it doesn't get that strange, but but no, Jack is. I mean, obviously he's a genius and what he does, and it's cool that he's been able to kind of present these interesting like lyrics, and he's like, hey man, do your thing.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it is just me just kind of improving over these melodies or these chords, and it's kind of turned into a thing.
I love it.
I mean, obviously not all the songs are like that, but
No.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
But I'm glad we've got a Funky Duck fan in the house.
It's such a good song.
It really is.
And you started off. I mean, that was right.
I used to chase my little child around the house playing the piano. He'd have to tag me before I could get to the end of the Funky Duck lick. It was Funky Duck Chase. We used to play it all the time.
Hey, I've seen some really cute kids just like vibing out to that tune. It's
for
amazing.
sure. Well, I think we're going to run out of time if we don't get to another song.
I know.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's do it with
Okay.
Antoine Stanley and John Notar on the keyboard. Antoine and John are playing acoustic Antoine Stanley tonight at the Drake in Amherst. Let's hear another live music Wednesday song here on the Fabulous 413.
Shout out to you guys. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So glad you're doing this song.
Woo! Classic. One of my faves. One of my faves. You want my love and you can't deny. You know it's true, but you try to hide. Yeah, you turn down love like it's really bad. You can't give what you never had. Yeah, so bless your soul, you can fool a few. I know the truth, so do you. You can't hide, I betcha. Yeah, betcha. Oh, you can't hide love, I betcha. You can't hide feels inside. You can't pretend there's nothing there. Girl, I look in your eyes and I see you care. So why not try and running high? You won't find out if you never try. My love, well, I bet you. Whoa, I bet you. You want my love, I bet you. You can't hide feels inside. Love is from the time for kissing. Oh, can you find the time for kissing? Oh, love is from the time to hurt you. Can you find the time to bliss and yeah. Oh, said
So good.
so
good.
Still. So good. And you can see it tonight at the Drake in Amherst. Antoine Stanley, thank you so much for coming on the show. Oh my God,
John
made my day.
Notar on the keys will be
Hey.
there with
Yes.
Antoine
Yes.
tonight at the Drake
Fantastic
in
arrangements.
Amherst. Thank you both so much for doing this. Like we said, we moved people around for the show when we knew that you were available coming in.
Well, we are honored to be here. Thank you so much for having us again. And hey, hopefully come back at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
Anytime.
Please,
we'll move people
please.
again.
Yes.
Later in the show, a closer
y'all.
look at the life of Gregory Gillespie, the painter with local connections, through a new documentary with Evan Goodchild, as well as Commonwealth Murals' Britt Rue.
But next, Skibbity is not Sigma, but it might be Ohio.
Golly, we sound old.
But we'll learn what that means and what might propel it to the top of the American Dialect Society's Word of the Year list with word nerd Emily Brewster next.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
It's never too early or too late to create an estate plan to care for loved ones and support the causes that are meaningful to you. NEPM is pleased to offer a free estate planning resource to help you plan for the future. Visit givingdocs.com/NEPM to get started today.
The Fabulous 413 is funded by Pekarsky Sausage in South Deerfield, specializing in farm-made fresh and smoked sausages and select smoked pork and poultry. More information at pekarskys.com. And by UMass 5 College Credit Union, supporting literacy that strengthens and engages our community, and a proud sponsor of the NEPM Book Club, bringing friends together to chat about new, diverse, and interesting fiction.
NEPM's podcasts are funded by Armbrook Village, offering research-based arts, music, fitness, and lifelong learning programs at their assisted living and Alzheimer's care community in Westfield. armbrookvillage.com.
I think in 2001 it was a Zoom meeting, and it was kind of wild. But people were making nominations even from the floor, so it's helpful for them to have nominations ahead of time, and they're trying to get people to nominate words. Now, the American Dialect Society's Word of the Year is not just a single word of the year. They also have all these different categories. And we've talked about the ones that have won and been runners up in previous years. They have a most useful or most likely to succeed, a political word of the year, a digital word of the year, an informal word of the year, an acronym or initialism of the year, most creative word of the year, euphemism of the year. All of those are categories that people can nominate words for.
What are some of the fun ones from other years?
So many fun ones. Many fun ones. Last year, I won't say the one that won the word of the year because we still can't talk about it. We still can't say it.
Right.
Is it Bruno?
We don't talk about Bruno, no.
No, it's enshisification.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's right.
But one of the fun
Yes.
ones from last year was Baby Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Baby Girl.
I like that
Baby
one.
Girl
I like
was
that
a good one. I
that
really
one.
liked Baby Girl. Oh, Millennial Pause.
The watermelon emoji was one of them.
Okay.
Yes, watermelon emoji. Yeah, it was under the category of political word of the year. In past years, they have had an emoji of the year, but there was not one. It depends on what kind of things are nominated. So these categories, they're open to adjustments.
After we talked to you about it, I found somebody who had basically live tweeted the meeting.
Yes.
Which was fascinating and made me love the whole process even more.
It's an amazing process because people are justifying their vote for a particular word in the process during the meeting. And because it is a meeting that is held in conjunction with the Linguistic Society of America, it's mostly populated by linguists and linguistic students. And so you have these very, very wordy people who think about language in a really particular way, all gathered together, spouting words that are really much more in the purview of Gen Alpha.
Well, that brings us to a word that you'd like to talk about today, Emily Brewster. But before we get to this word, if people have ideas of what they want for these various categories for the American Dialect Society's Words of the Year, how do they go and vote on this, even if they're not a member of the American Dialect Society?
They can go to americandialect.org/2024-WOTI-NOMS, or I will give you a link and you can put it in your notes there and people can just click on the link.
Excellent.
Ooh, perfect.
The submission form really only talks about the word of the year as if there's just one. And I want people to remember that even if they don't think it's a word that is, a word that really encapsulates something profound about the actual year itself, that they should really throw in any words that they think are significant during 2024 in some way. As a volunteer with the Among the New Words feature of the American Speech Journal, I am one of the people who follows up the word of the year by writing about all the nominees and winners afterwards, so that we do a full treatment of the history of these words, their significance, basically explaining how it is that they came to be and how it is that they came to be nominated.
That's fun. I didn't know you had that official of a role there. I thought you were kind of a participant/bystander, but there you go. You're official on all this now.
You're the scribe.
I am. It's fun. I've been doing it now for not very long. I don't know, about a year and a half, and I'm enjoying it very much. I wrote somewhat recently about, for the 2023 words of the year, one of the words that I wrote about was skibbity.
Skibbity ba 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 ba.
This word doesn't bother you, it seems, Khalees. You like this word.
Because I initially heard it in the song that it came from, which has this wild video. The group that does it, I think they're Little Big is the name of the band. And all of their songs have these crazy videos, and they're catchy, and I think that the band itself is pretty adorable.
I have seen these videos as having somebody who is Gen Alpha in my family, but for those who have maybe danced around, quite literally in this case, the periphery of skibbity, tell us about what this word is, why it is important now, and why you wrote about it.
Well, I'm wondering if you two know about the same videos, because when I was looking at skibbity, when I first started looking at skibbity, I only knew about, and had only heard people talk about, and had only read about skibbity toilet.
Yeah, that's the main one that I know about.
What the heck is going on you?
Right, but that's secondary. That came after the song came out. So I found out about Skibbity Toilet way later and was like, wait a minute, like the song Skibbity? And turns out the answer is yes.
That song came out in 2018, and it was a huge, huge hit.
Right.
Viral dance challenge. It's been called the Russian Macarena. It's also been compared to Psy's Gangnam Style. I love the song. I love the video. I really do.
Yes.
But when you read about skibbity, if you were to say Google skibbity, that is not what you're going to be led to. Instead, what you will find is a trove of questions posed by people around our age, maybe some younger also, saying, why is my child watching this skibbity toilet? And why is my child saying skibbity? And what does skibbity mean?
Well,
that's what you see.
Help us all out, Emily Brewster. Answer this question for the masses who want to know why their children have been flushed down this skibbity toilet.
Yeah, Skibbity Toilet is a series of YouTube videos. They're brief movies. They're shorts. And they feature, the very first one just featured a toilet and this really disturbing looking head in 2D animation popping out of it with this very elongated neck and just singing this song.
That is the one I'm most familiar with. So I haven't even gone. I haven't gone back to see the dance one yet. That seems more fun.
And then he goes on adventures.
He goes on adventures, and there's this apocalyptic war. There are wars between these now giant toilets, which have heads coming out of them, and these humanoid figures who have computer monitors for heads or televisions for heads. And are wearing suits. They're wearing suits. I watched way too many of these. There is apparently, rumor has it, there is a movie in the making.
Yeah, I heard that rumor also. In spirit, these videos remind me a lot of Red versus Blue.
Okay, I don't know that either.
So Red versus Blue is a series of videos that people created in basically this same vein, but more comedy-based with characters from Halo.
Okay.
And there was a red team and a blue team, and it was kind of spy versus spy-esque, but they had interactions and adventures, and then there's other colors that are introduced, and it is a whole thing.
You ever wonder why we're here? It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it? Why are we here? Are we the product of some cosmic coincidence, or is there really a God? watching everything, you know, with a plan for us and stuff.
I am definitely showing my geek card here, aren't I?
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
They also remind me of what other Gen Alpha kids I've been hanging out with or driving around to places want to listen to, which is like songs based on Minecraft and things like that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, hi, I'm a creeper. So nice to meet you, but time is time to leave and tick-tock, tick-tock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like
Yeah.
it's part of a new generation's entertainment.
Yes. Now, these features were created by someone who goes by the name Boom.
Okay.
DAFUQBOOM.
That'll be one. We'll have to decide whether we can say that on the radio because it is spelled in a way that you should theoretically be able to say it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. The person's real name is Alexei Gerasimov or something like that. I'm
Okay.
not sure. I'm
that one
not
we can
saying it
definitely say.
correctly.
Yeah.
But this Skibbity Toilet 74 was the latest one as of August 2024, which is when I was writing about it. So I have not checked in to see just how much further it has gotten. And the song has really kind of disappeared. The original song was a skibbity dop 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 yes yes with some brrr sound inserted.
What did it do, Emily?
Brrr.
No, I just wanted you to do that again. It was great.
Skibbity ba 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 ba.
There is an unofficial Skibbity Toilet wiki, which has, as of the time that I wrote this, 931 articles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lots of
it's-
adventures.
It's people, it has really resonated with some people very, 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 very much. Now, the person who invented it, whose name I will not repeat again, he has not given any credit at all to the Little Big song. He says that his song is a mashup of a song by a Bulgarian musician named Bizar King. It's also called Bizar Dragunov. He has a song called Dom Dom Yes Yes. That has all these traditional Bulgarian folk music elements to it. It's a mashup of that and Timbaland's Give It To Me.
Wanna see you work your body. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me.
When Jumbo is in the party, everybody put up their hands.
Possibly sped up.
Wanna see you work your body.
Wow.
Huh.
The
This
lore on
is-
this goes
yeah.
so deep.
Feel a little bit like when I'm listening to my partner talk about Warhammer.
Yeah. Another deep
It's-
nerdery.
Yeah, I didn't expect this, but this is really in none of the research that I did was anyone making the connection between Skibbity Toilet and the Little Big song. That connection was not being made at all, which I think is interesting.
That is interesting.
But the word has been fascinating to people. I think there's a TikTok linguist who I like, whose name I'm forgetting, who has talked about Skibbity as being a kind of scat singing, which I think is right. Also, I think that's where Bizar King was getting it. Also, that's these syllables that we can repeat in music that are almost musical and don't contain actual lexical meaning.
Just standard vocalizations that
Right.
have a little bit more percussion in them so you can do more rhythmically with your voice.
Right.
And
Yep.
Emily Brewster from both the American Dialect Society and our dictionary in Springfield, Merriam-Webster, is that sort of the working definition? If people, wherever they could look up Skibbity, were to look up Skibbity, that it does not have an actual lexicographical, it's just scat singing? Or does it have a better definition than that?
No, it's actually taking on lexical meaning, but it has not settled completely yet. There are a lot of explainers on TikTok where you've got the typical setup is a Gen Alpha kid sitting with a parent, and the parent is giving the kid words to translate. And
Yes.
Skibbity is one, and kids usually translate it as bad.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh, that is so Skibbity. But it's also been glossed as good or cool or evil or sketchy.
So
but
bad in the
usually
90s
bad.
sense.
Yeah, bad in the Michael Jackson sense.
No, bad like evil.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't know. We don't know where it's going to go because
we now
it's,
our
it's really
We
it's
are our
too
parents.
it's doing too much still. The meanings are kind of trickling down to this negative badness.
So Skibbity is sort of like it's been entered, plunged, if you will, into our lexicon, and it is swirling around
Much
a
like
la
the
a
head.
bowl.
Much like the head in the toilet itself.
Yeah, that's where skibbity lies when it comes to its actual definition right now. So we shouldn't, as Gen Xers or early millennials, Xennials, as I learned from you, Emily
Zennials.
Brewster, or Zennials, or I've been liking to call it, some people have been calling it,
The Goonies
the
generation.
Goonies. Not even the Goonies generation, just Goonies.
Goonies.
I love it.
We are the Goonies.
We don't have to worry too much about
good
not
enough.
knowing exactly what that means yet, because it doesn't even know what it means yet itself.
That's right. But if somebody says that you are skibbity, you should be insulted.
Okay, noted.
Have either of you heard the little song that features a slew of these Gen Alpha words?
No, but I can't wait to hear it.
It's a young voice kind of chanting it. Sticking out your gat for the Rizzler. You're so skibbity. You're so phantom tax. I just want to be your Sigma. Freaking come here. Give me your Ohio.
Sticking out your yacht for the Rizzler. You're so skibbity.
Oh my.
Oh, I have heard this
I think I
somewhere.
have
Yeah. And it plays while this Fortnite character kind of dances through a golden field.
I'm already,
I only knew 25% of what you meant by any of that.
Yeah. I learned them all. I
get it.
It's wild out there.
Yeah.
Should we go over those words that you just said just so that people feel included? Khalees has given a no.
No.
We don't want the world to know.
No. Go listen to the song in your own time, and this is a place where Google can help you do your own research.
And if you're curious about the Little Big song, Khalees and I both recommend it.
Their whole
It's a good
catalog.
bop.
Their whole catalog is super fun.
And Emily Brewster, if we want to participate in the American Dialect Society's nomination process for their Word of the Year, where do we go one more time?
People should go to your website, right? To Fabulous
we can find
413.
that.
Yeah, we'll
And
pop
there will be a link there. I think that's really the easiest thing to do.
And if you ever have a question about skibbity or gyat or phantom tax or any of those words that you just heard,
Or why anybody is using Ohio as an adjective.
yeah, you can email the word nerd, thefab413@nepm.org, and we'll ask her. Thank you, Emily Brewster.
Thank you, Monty and Khalees.
Skibbity ba 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 ba. And there's a dance. Coming up, a look at the painted life of realist, master, and local legend Gregory Gillespie with a new film from Springfield filmmaker Evan Goodchild.
The screening will benefit Commonwealth Murals. Evan and Commonwealth Murals, Britt Rue, join us next.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering graduate programs in public affairs, public policy and administration, data analytics, and computational social science. umass.edu/SPP. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, homegrown in Hatfield, Massachusetts, and providing energy savings for their customers for over 10 years. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
He is a truly independent artist whose personal, obsessive vision brings even inanimate things to disturbing life. Gregory Gillespie.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Khalees.
This Sunday, October 27th at the Academy of Music in Northampton, 3 years of research and production will culminate in the sprawling retrospective documentary of an artist who is based here locally. The documentary is called The Painted Life of Gregory Gillespie.
The screening is free, it's unticketed, and in lieu of ticket costs, the Academy of Music and others, are asking you to make a donation to the local arts organization, Commonwealth Murals, a Springfield-based organization that works with local and international artists to design and create murals with and for the community.
Springfield's own Evan Goodchild is a director, editor, and educator. He recently directed and edited the short documentary Reliquary of Blackness, produced by Mass Humanities. Gregory Gillespie Painted Life is his feature-length debut. Evan joins us now.
We are also joined by now frequent guest of the show, Britt Rue from Commonwealth Murals. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So great to be here again.
So did this whole project really start when you moved into his studio?
Because for those who haven't seen the documentary, Evan Loop moved into his studio.
Yes.
Where was that and when?
In Belchertown, Massachusetts, 2016, my partner and I moved into the studio. And didn't really know anything about him. Moved out of the studio 3 years later, and then was recommended by Larry Hotz, who's a production advisor on this, when one of the main collectors of Gregory Gillespie's work wanted to make a film about Gregory. And
a quick pause, Larry Hott is from Florentine Films. Based in Florence. He does a lot of incredible documentary films,
Absolutely.
Emmy award-winning, all that.
Yeah, Larry's been a great mentor to me throughout. And so he recommended me to Peggy Gillespie, Gregory's widow, and the rest is history. So,
what drew you as a filmmaker to the work of Gregory Gillespie? It's compelling realist, if you're not familiar with him as a painter. You, as a documentary filmmaker, I'm wondering, are there parallels between the realism inherent in making a documentary and the realism in the paintings of Gregory Gillespie?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's kind of a gut punch looking at some of his work. It's pretty severe in a lot of ways and uncomfortable. And he seemed fearless. And for what I learned talking to people, he was fearless not only in his art, but in his conversations. You never quite knew where you would go, but it was all fair game to him. So his vision, I think, was pretty expansive, even going to a shot. And I think that's why it's a little difficult sometimes to talk about him, because there are the self-portraits that are like very exacting, but there's also like the really weird abstract stuff, or all of a sudden you'll be looking at someone's innards, or you'll just be staring at a wall and you're not sure why you're examining this wall.
Yeah. And then there's interesting places where those two overlap also. Like there's neither of those segments of his work are completely cut and dry.
We're speaking about Gregory Gillespie, the artist who passed away in 2000, but who had strong connections here to Western Mass, and the new documentary that will screen for free at the Academy of Music this Sunday, The Painted Life, with the filmmaker Evan Goodchild. Evan, how did Commonwealth Murals get into this? Because we've got Britt Rue here, who's helped us examine a lot of the Stevens murals that have gone up lately, other murals that have happened in Springfield, the mural in Turner's Falls at the Shea. Where does Commonwealth Murals fit into this?
This summer, I started working with New England Public Media, Tony Dunn.
Who?
Yes. And we are doing a documentary on Nelson Stevens. So I met Britt through that project. And this other project, with the Gregory Gillespie project, was coming to a head. And I started thinking about, I wanted to make the event a homecoming, and have it be a free event that people would come and celebrate, but have it be some sort of charitable fundraiser. I said, who do we do? And just obviously the natural fit was what Britt was doing with Commonwealth Murals and preserving legacies. Nelson and Gregory were contemporaries. They were about 2 years apart in age. They both had very big communities. Gregory's was up in Northampton. Nelson's in Amherst and UMass and in Springfield. And so it just made a whole lot of sense to me to bring her into this for the benefit.
Britt from Commonwealth Murals, I'm wondering if what you do resonates when you look at the works of Gregory Gillespie. One thing that stands out from his work, and what I learned from the documentary, is later in his career, he loved painting on things, painting life, as he called it, not painting about life, but literally transforming a telephone, or he has a radio that he paints in his studio that's seen it, and it's tuned to 88.5, I will say, and he's wearing a WFCR sweatshirt. So it's like a shameless plug for this radio station, the whole documentary.
He was a big fan.
Yeah.
But there's something really community-minded about, like, painting on rocks, painting on wood, preferring to paint on wood, and, like, things that are a lot more tangible and accessible than maybe canvas all of the time.
I think it speaks to this idea of painting as a lifestyle. And you can paint on all these things, and artists are interacting with their environment all the time. And when you're doing public art, that is very much true. But just talking with Evan about the film, I think one of the other things that I'm really curious to learn more about when I see the film is this sense of community that artists pulled together around themselves, and how important that is to their lives and their work. And we think about that a lot at Commonwealth Murals, because we're engaging with community all the time, but also we're building this community of artists that work together to create the work. So I think that there's some connections there as well.
That's Britt Rue from Commonwealth Murals, who are the beneficiaries of a free screening that they're asking for donations for this Sunday, the 27th? Did I do the math right?
Yes, sir.
At the Academy of Music in Northampton, not far from where Gregory Gillespie worked. We'll take a quick little break here, and we'll hear more from Britt Rue from Commonwealth Murals, as well as filmmaker Evan Goodchild about Gregory Gillespie, Painted Life.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Gillespie paintings were self-consciously masterpieces. Self-portrait on a bed, that's a masterpiece.
We both had mothers that were institutionalized, and he was just so open about it. And I thought, wow, I could say something here, and somebody might really understand.
I remember Greg saying to me, "What is in the pit? What is in the pit?"
And then you've got all this weird stuff happening around.
And somehow pulling it together so that it makes some kind of order. And guess what? I think that reflects reality. This piece here, did I tell you about it?
No, tell me.
It's my tomb.
This is your tomb?
Yeah.
So here's this guy who's building his tomb.
He turned the idea of planning for his own death into an art project.
I know we upset some people who came in and thought Greg was up there.
I'm painting life now. I'm not painting paintings of life, I'm painting life.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. That is part of the trailer of Gregory Gillespie, Painted Life, a new film by Evan Goodchild that will screen for the first time, is it, this Sunday?
Sneak preview, yep.
Sneak preview this Sunday for free at 4, a benefit for Commonwealth Murals. And as we hear in that bit of the trailer, Evan, there is another side. There's a lot of joy of Gregory Gillespie that comes through in this, but there is a sadder and a darker side as well, especially, I don't know if it's a spoiler to say what the ultimate demise of Gregory Gillespie, but it is an important part of the film.
Yeah, it's not a spoiler. He did commit suicide in 2000. And so a lot of this, Britt and I were just discussing a little bit beforehand, is it's very easy to dismiss a suicide with an artist or overly romanticize it. And so one of my main goals was to show a rounder side of who, because of just knowing that fact piece and looking at the work, you may have a certain idea of who the person was, but very beloved, very joyful, very humorous and full person.
Yeah, which comes through, I think, in a lot of the footage that you managed to find. Beyond, can you talk about like where you mentioned in the film that you found a lot more film than you initially thought you were going to have access to? Where did the other films come from?
Some of it was digging, like making a lot of phone calls to museums and staying on them and on them and on them. And this was just past peak COVID. So a lot of people were like understaffed, especially in the museum world. The budgets were slashed, so it was challenging in that sense. But Gregory's widow, Peggy Gillespie, was instrumental in connecting me with a lot of the right people and players. And she also had a lot of the archival material herself. He was an avid journalist. There's about 120 journals. There's no shortage of stuff from, he was thorough. Through and through.
What I love about it is a lot of the footage that you found from the studio, there's interaction between some of the other artists who were featured in that footage interacting with that footage now, which I thought was a really interesting decision to make as a filmmaker.
Michael Jordan documentary. I stole it from that. But it's what you need to do. You know, some of them had never seen that footage.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as a reaction video, but hearing someone's voice and seeing their image, can really take someone back and lead to some really emotional interactions.
The film is called The Painted Life. It'll screen this Sunday at the Academy of Music, and there are a lot of other artists in the area that are featured in the documentary. Jane Lund from Ashfield, Randall Deal from Ashfield, Robin Friedenfeld from Northampton, Scott Pryor from Northampton, and these are important artists. We have an important art scene that exists here in Western Massachusetts.
Yeah, I should say, too, Michelson's gallery they're opening up late that night, and they're going to have a reception, and they're going to show the work of the artists that you just listed. Gregory's widow, Frances Cohen Gillespie, was an incredible painter. She doesn't have as prolific as a catalog as Greg, but her works are exacting and fantastic. One of her flower pieces will be on display, so people can kind of keep the conversation going after the screening.
Britt Rue, before we let you go, do you have a question?
No,
Yeah,
I was going to ask where Commonwealth's next mural is coming to fruition, and if there are community paint days that we can participate in.
I love that you want more, because so do I. But even artists need to rest.
That's fair.
We just wrapped on our last mural of the season, so we're gearing up for working with the schools over the fall and winter, and then starting again in the spring. So you'll have to wait a little bit.
That is, okay. You already know what you're going to do, but you're just not allowed to tell us yet? Is that basically what it comes down
to? We don't quite know what we're going to do.
Okay. But if you want to make sure that they can do something particularly awesome.
Or maybe something in your neighborhood.
Actually, I do know one we're going to do. I just got to quickly tell you because it's an amazing project at Retreat Farm in Brattleboro.
Oh, I love that place.
Cool. It's with an amazing artist, Abenaki native who had a vision to do 4 murals, and he's doing one there, and there will be community painting for that.
Excellent. And you can support the work of Commonwealth Murals, which Britt Rue represents, this Sunday by watching this incredible documentary that we've been talking about, The Painted Life, Gregory Gillespie. It's a film by Springfield's own Evan Goodchild, who lived in the studio of Gregory Gillespie. It's a fascinating documentary on an incredible painter. Thank you both so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Although we chat with one of the candidates for the 2nd Congressional District every week, we wanted the opportunity to talk with his opponent. And so on the next Fabulous 413, we're going to have a conversation with the independent candidate for that seat, Cornelius Shea, and hear his positions and his history.
But we'll also talk to Congressman McGovern, too, and we'll have him respond to some of those questions. And we'll have a look at Springfield Fashion Week with Richie Richardson. We leave you with the Funky Duck.